Constitutional Court on the day.
You know what, Commissioner? Can't do this.
A report is released by the acting Chief Justice, a report on the statement. I don't know whether it's a coincidence or what. But we will leave that to the General Secretary to put the official position of the Communist Party. We know we are preparing also 2 days' time. Take us forward. In terms of what is our program with the Alliance, what is the program with the state politics, given where we're coming from during this period of the election. We know what has happened, in particular, as the leader of the party. We know what has happened in this particular program. It did Comrade John Peace to the sole success from us as the leaders of the movement, as the members of the movement. We should not think about the bush. And I will leave all that to the main speaker and even those who are going to be giving us messages of support.
Can we turn the camera around?
This is just an opening from my side on behalf of our national chairperson. We all know that Comrade Zomana has had challenges in relation to this cat which attacked him. He's still recovering. Because, Comrade, we don't want to waste a lot of time today. All those who are going to be talking to the state will request that you General Secretary speaking. If he happens to speak the subject of and we won't refuse that for us. All those who request to come will be sharing together. From all the central of the parties and even other provinces and all our members who are here, we know that we don't gather in big numbers. That's why we have to respect both protocols. Now, this session is very, very important. It's very significant for us to remember our fallen hero, Comrade Joe Slovo, and others. With those few words, comrades, you are all welcome. We're going to start our program. I'm going to hand over to Comrade John BC to continue with the program. Amandla. Amandla.
Who's gonna bring? Who's gonna? They've already been given for the next training order.
Viva SACP, viva!
Okay.
Viva SACP, viva! Long live the spirit of Joe Slovo.
Who are these people?
Long live the spirit of Joe Slovo. Long live. Long live the spirit of Rizani. Long live. Viva
So I
ANC,
admit them.
viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva Kosatu, viva! Ena msebenzi uzonqoba tena. Viva Sanko, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Viva the Young Communist League, viva! Viva the PYA, viva! Amandla! Thank you, Comrade National Deputy Chair, Comrade Julas. Comrade, we are not going to waste time. We're quickly going to request Comrade the Deputy Chairperson of the province, Dr. Amandla Khadebe, to come and give us the international coverage quickly so that we can start formally with our program. Dr. Comrade Amandla, sanitize. Dr. Sanitize. Thanks, Chairperson.
What does night? Go on.
I don't know. I think for now you must. How many is it at the meeting?
Generally, if it's a normal meeting, it's supposed to be 100.
And then
As we come to what's the case, Mona?
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, but why whenever you in that? Why back in that? Oh, yes. Aluwani Choco. Yeah. There's a chain, B. Doesn't say chain who. All right. Then the people are still few.
Amanda, thank you very much, comrades. Comrades, so far, General Secretary, leadership of the ANC led by colleague, leadership of COSATU led by the provincial almost, and all of the comrades as welcome by the national deputy chair, they are all acknowledged comrades. Comrades, without a waste of time, I'm now calling on the comrade Jacob Mamabolo, our provincial secretary, to give us a welcoming address on behalf of the province and the PVC. Comrade, yes?
No visuals yet. Because there's nothing. That's why we're waiting.
Amanda! Amanda!
We need a phone. We need a phone. It's gonna have a phone.
Viva the fighting spirit of Jos Novo, viva! Viva the fighting spirit of Comrade Jos Novo, viva! Amanda! Viva SICP, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva Sanko, viva the young communist people of South Africa, viva! Amanda! Amanda! Thank you very much.
Oh, then I connect here.
You're gonna connect it.
Provincial
Okay.
Let me also congratulate comrade
Because now, yeah,
who is co-chairing and directing the program together with Comrade John. Comrades,
Come on,
on
sir.
behalf of our entire PEC and the membership of the SACP in Gauteng province, I am once more deeply honored and very much pleased to extend our compliments, our Happy New Year. Firstly, comrades, to our most beloved General Secretary, Dr. Late Nzimande. I must also greet him, of course, as the Minister responsible for matters of higher education, science and technology. And GS, special word of welcome to you. I'm very much pleased that you are in the province. And of course, we hope that you're feeling comfortable, you're feeling at home. Comrades, we are also joined by our first Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Solima Paila, Minasho. As I always say that in China, they would have called him a young leader, still very young. And of course, we are very much pleased to have you in our midst. And let me end it there, Minasho. I normally tend to say a lot of things when I welcome you. Today I'll leave it. But I know that the province hears what I'm saying. Comrades, we are really pleased that in this 27th anniversary commemorating the life of Comrade Joe Stovo, we are joined by the sister of Comrade Joe, Comrade, the daughter, apologies, the daughter, my notes are not, thank you very much. Comrade Sean Slobo. Let's put our hands together and welcome Comrade Sean. We'd like just to wait to the comrades. Yeah. Thank you very much, comrades, for that fraternal welcome to Comrade Sean. We're very much pleased to have you amongst us. Thank you very much and welcome. Comrades, we have with us the National Secretary of the Young Communist League of South Africa, Comrade Tinyinko Ntini, who's going to speak to us. We would like to welcome the entire leadership of the Young Communist League of South Africa. Let me also just say that we are also joined by several members of the Central Committee. They are here amongst us. And of course, we will continue to acknowledge them as they come. Comrade Jenny Schreiner is here. She leads the Central Committee deployees to our province. And we want to take this opportunity, Comrade Jenny, to always appreciate and thank you for providing leadership and guidance to our PC at all times. And sincere thanks to you on behalf of the PC and of course, the entire Central Committee deployees in our province. We have a Comrade Lichisa, I've seen him. We have Comrade Franz Valeni, I've seen him here as well. And I'm sure I have not left out any other member of the Central Committee.
I must also proceed, comrades, to welcome and acknowledge our allies, our alliance partners. Very important alliance partners that we have always worked with in pursuing the cause of the National Democratic Revolution. The African National Congress is led by Comrade Parks Tau, who is the provincial treasurer of the African National Congress. Comrade Parks is sitting right there. We welcome you, Comrade Parks, and we must also thank you for coming. And you'll remember, comrades, that it was when Comrade Parks was the mayor of the city of Joburg that Joe Slovo was honored by the city. And we want to thank you, Comrade Parks, and acknowledge the leadership that you have played in Thank you very much. Well done. Comrades, we have, and of course to all leaders of the ANC that are here, we want to acknowledge and appreciate your presence. We have with us, comrade, our class ally, COSATU, the mighty revolutionary trade union, the Federation of the Workers. COSATU is led here by comrades who are here. We have in our midst the Deputy General Secretary of SACAU, Comrade Mdu, who is part of the delegation of the leadership of COSATU that is here. I must also say, Comrade Mdu has served in our provincial executive committee at some point. So he was a member of our PC. We would like to acknowledge him. Part of the leadership of COSATU include Comrade Aubrey, who is leading the Communication Workers Union. Comrade Aubrey, we have worked with him as well when he was still leading CW in the province. Comrade Aubrey, a revolutionary word of welcome to you. We have with us, comrade, we have the second deputy president of the House, Comrade Pat, is here with us. And we must also, if my facts are right, he is still fresh from the box elected recently at the Congress of Neau. We must congratulate him and welcome him to this very important site where the remains of Comrade Toslovo are. Comrades, we have with us the leader of COSATU in the province. Comrade Amos Munyela is here with us. We want to acknowledge and welcome him. And Comrade Amos is always in every party event. Every invitation we extend to COSATU, he always comes. And today I want to acknowledge this at the gravesite where Comrade Slovo is. As we celebrate Slovo's life, Comrade Amos, we appreciate the working relationship we have with COSATU and your efforts, tirelessly always being amongst us. We are very much pleased. Comrades, that should, there are leaders that are coming in. They will be acknowledged by the National Deputy Chair, Comrade Joe, as we proceed. But at this time, allow me to acknowledge the Linda Chavani district, which is where we are, led by Comrade Africa, our district secretary, and of course the entire DEC, all members of the NCSACP, SANCO, all the PYA, all the leagues. But most importantly, comrades, we want to take this opportunity to also extend a word of welcome to the media houses that are here. We say Happy New Year to the media. And this reminds me that Comrade Alex is here, a member of the Central Committee, Dr. Alex Mashi. Comrade Alex, to you and the media, special greetings. And we hope the media is feeling welcome and feeling at home. Otherwise, if there's anything we can do to make you more comfortable, we will do so. That, comrades, should conclude acknowledging the guests, and once more, if there's any comrade who have not acknowledged, the acknowledgements will run up until the end of the program. Comrades, let us take this opportunity as a province to just say we are very much pleased that once more, 2022, we are able to gather here to remember Comrade Josto. As you know, during the difficulties of COVID-19, when we were in the hard lockdown, it has not been possible to come to the gravesite. But you'll recall that we were on the gravesite virtually. So we have never failed to celebrate the life of Jostovo, of Commander Jostovo, our General Secretary, even under very difficult conditions. So to all of you comrades who made it here, took your time, came here, and of course, as we said, under very strict conditions of COVID-19, you are most welcome. We have tried to make sure that we uphold the protocols of COVID-19. We do have sanitizer. We will once more spread it again, make sure that we give it to comrades to sanitize. We also appreciate the fact that comrades are wearing masks. That is very much important. And we have GS made sure that we significantly reduce the number so that we do not break any rule or place comrades' lives at risk. That is why this year we have really cut the number to make sure that we do not place any comrades' life at risk. Please, comrades, let us sanitize as much as we can. Let us make sure that we are safe. With those words, comrades, we just want to say, yes, the party has celebrated its 100 years. We continue with that celebration. We must thank you for leading the party to its centenary. And of course, we still having a united party under your leadership. We must never tire to thank you for maintaining the unity of the party, even under difficult conditions, General Secretary. We must never take our unity very lightly. Our unity is very much important. And I want to say to the GS, we are very much pleased as a province that we are contributing to the unity of the party under your leadership. And it is this unity that helps the SACP to continue to play its role in our country in pursuance of the National Democratic Revolution. With those words, comrades, we want to say we're looking forward to a much more united party as we begin yet another journey to the centenary, next centenary of the Communist Party. Comrade Chair, let me hand over back to you. But otherwise, comrades, let us sing a revolutionary song to celebrate the life of Commander Josto, to celebrate the life of the militant, the life of
Thank you, comrades. We're trying to manage time. Zotola comrade will give you time to speak. Comrades, we also want to acknowledge the ambassador of Palestine and comrade Hanan Sarah. Welcome, comrades. We also want to welcome our second Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Chris, who has just arrived. Welcome, Comrade DJS. Comrade, without a waste of time, we are targeting 12 o'clock, Comrade, and we want to appeal to all the speakers who are going to give us a message of support to look at their time as well. Without a waste of time, comrades, we want to call on stage Comrade Sean Slovo, the daughter of Comrade Joe Slovo, to give us a message of support and acknowledge the contribution made by Comrade Joe Slovo. On behalf of the family, Comrade Sean, please come forward to give us a message from the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for asking me to come and say a few words today. It's a great honor. Thank you all, comrades. Thank you very much. I have recently returned to live in South Africa after 57 years, which is where we as a family were granted a political asylum in 1964. Even after so many years away, it feels like coming home.
It's very important, comrade, just that she start again so that we can hear. Maybe you can take.
Okay, is that better? Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor. I've recently returned to live in South Africa after 57 years in the UK, which is where we, the Slovo first family, were granted political asylum in 1964. Even after so many years, it feels like coming home, because being here brings me closer to Joe and to Ruth, because I feel their legacy and their spirit everywhere. Before he died, Joe gave me 3 pieces of advice for how to live a life. Number 1, never get into debt. Pay off what you owe every month. Very easy for him to say. Yeah. Very easy for him to say. I'm not sure he even had a bank account or owned a credit card until he got a job as the minister. Number 2, never take out life insurance. It's a complete ripoff, and I have no idea where that came from. Number 3, most important, learn to make a great salad dressing. Oil, vinegar, mustard, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to mix the salad with your hands, not with spoons, serving spoons or forks. You have to mix it with your hands so that every piece of lettuce is covered in dressing. So anyway, he says that will carry you through the culinary life, and he really wasn't wrong about that. These things, although they may sound frivolous, give a picture of who Joe was. He was never interested in personal or material gain. A life of big houses and fat bank accounts and flashy cars and jobs for the boys and girls was never the life for him. He was against any form of corruption or nepotism. He wouldn't even arrange tickets for the Mandela concert because he didn't want to be seen to be dispensing special favors to his children. For Joe, the struggle was his life. His personal principles were a perfect match in his politics. He was overall a happy man. as the choices he made fulfilled his soul and his sense of self. He was also always an optimist. Even in the darkest days of apartheid, he was confident that the collective would win and that the change would come. And we, his daughters, myself and my sisters, Gillian and Robin, know that if he were alive today, he would look at the imperfections of his beloved country and see them for what they are, things to be struggled with and transformed to ensure a world of justice and equality. Thanks.
Yes, we are going to hand over this to you as the message from the daughter of Comrade Joe Slovo. Comrade, thank you, Comrade Sean. We appreciate the message from the family. Without a waste of time, comrades, we are now going to call the YCL National Secretary, Comrade Tinigo, to come forward and give us the message from the YCL National Committee.
Manza, long live Kosas, long live. Long live Sasko, long live. Long live Kosat Young Wekas, long live. Jigitelo Fasimba, Jigitela. Long live Sanko, long live. Long live Kosatu, long live. Long live the SACP, long live. Long live the NC, long live. Manza. No thanks, program directors, the provincial chair of the party in Gauteng, Comrade Joe, our national deputy chairperson, Comrade Chulas. Let us greet the general sec of our party, Comrade Blade, the officials of the party, the entire central committee members here today, our national office bearers of the YCL, in absentia, our national committee members that are present today here, the leadership of our Revolutionary Alliance present today, the ambassador of Somaliland, the ambassador of Palestine, present here with us. Indeed, today, we are here to celebrate the life and times of an internationalist, a theoretician, leadership par excellence. We have less words to can express or define the character of Comrade Joe Slovo. Indeed, today we are humbled that as we stand here to celebrate the life and times of this gallant fighter of our revolution, we note that 2022 marks not only the end of celebrations of the party's centenary, but marks a historic moment to the life of the YCL itself as it's its centenary year this year. And we remain inspired by the character of what Comrade Joe Slovo stood for. Probably to take this time deliberately to acknowledge Comrade Sean after acknowledging all the speakers because of this powerful message that she has just delivered here, which I think just sums it up in terms of who Comrade Joe Slovo was. And the biggest question I think today we need to ask, based on the message that the family has delivered, is that as a movement, are we still capable to produce such caliber of cadres that are selfless, that are ready to advance working class interest without any expectation of material gains? As a movement in 2012, we resolved on two critical things that we need today even to remind ourselves and assess how far have we gone with that. When we were at the 12th National Congress of the party, we spoke of a need for a more radical phase of the transition in making sure that we are able to address the inequalities and challenges that continue to persist in our economic structure. When we're in Mangaung in the National Conference of the ANC, we resolved on a decade of a cadre. And I think as part of celebrating the life and times of Comrade Joe Slovo, and as we continue indeed to commemorate and celebrate the centenary of the YCL, we need to ask ourselves those critical questions. How far are we? Have we indeed, in the past 10 years as a movement, been able to produce any kind of a cadre that today we can still be able to equate when we reflect the life and times of Comrade Joe Slovo? And I think all of us honest answer, because today the movement is challenged and it speaks of the failure it did for us to be able to take forward some of this critical resolution that we took in making sure that we continue to be a because of to produce a career it's able to advance evolution. Today, the factors simple and clear. Of this great gallant fighter of the liberation struggle, an internationalist by note, a theoretician, to remind ourselves the need to go back to prioritize political education in our structures, to be able to fight against demons of factionalism, the undermining of the organizational discipline and party line, and making sure that we close ranks and we renew our organizations in making sure that they are able indeed, not only through lip service, to advance that in the next centenary, transform the life of the people. We continue as the vanguard party to be relevant to the masses of our people. Because the critical questions that you must ask is that does the people still see us as a beacon of hope, as the Liberation Alliance? For the fact that they can take a posture to punish us by just abstaining even from participating on the electoral post, it means something is wrong with us and we need to diagnose and be ready to heal and address those issues. As we celebrate the life and times of Comrade Joslovo, it's important indeed to reflect on our annual program that as the YCL we use to celebrate the life and times of this gallant fighter, which is the Joslovo Right to Learn campaign, and which the 2022 campaign, our focus is that is the year of branch activism. And we need to continue to fight for student services and towards free and quality compulsory education. And this will assist us to address some of the persisting challenges that continue to be seen in the post-schooling education. In conclusion, comrades, it will be very wrong of us not to respect the bio-international space because we celebrate the life and times of an internationalist. And as the YCL, we must state it very clear that we stand by the people's struggles in Swaziland as they continue to fight against the tyrant monarch. And it's important again to highlight that we don't have confidence with the proposed dialogue that is set to undertake because it's clear that this is premeditated. Ours is to see the unbanning of political parties, is to see the return of exiles to that country, even before the dialogue would start. Because who are you going to engage with if the real revolutionaries are seeking political asylum in different countries? So which dialogue are you going to have? And this is part and parcel of saying we remain in solidarity with the people of Palestine as they continue to be subjugated by the apartheid Israel that continues to kill innocent children and women. And that must be the same to the people of Somaliland that will be side by side with them and all other oppressed nations, even within the Latin America. Amandla, Amandla, don't give them the spirit of Joslovo long live. So you can tell.
Thank you, Comrade Secretary. Thank you very much. Amandla, phansi corruption, phansi, phansi corruption, phansi. Thank you very much, Comrade Ndebende. Your message resonates very well, Comrade, with the message we given earlier by Comrade Sean, that Joslovo will be surprised today that we have lost 3 metros in Gauteng. Joslovo would have been amazed that as a revolutionary alliance, you could not protect the democracy he fought for many years. With that, comrades, we also want to ridicule comrades, those comrades who continue as if we haven't lost our metros in this province, who continue to celebrate and have factional caucuses around the province so that we can then lose the province in 2024. We will expose them as the party, we will expose them as the YCL, and we will defend, comrades, this hard-fought democracy and remove all those comrades that are not adding value to the life of this alliance. Comrades, we are not wasting time. We are now going to call on comrades, the provincial chairperson of COSATU, a comrade that was very close with ourselves in the province, Comrade Amos Munyela, to come and give us a message of support from the workers. Comrade Amos, over to you.
Long live Joslovo, long live. Long live Joslovo, long live. Viva SSCP, viva. Viva COSATU, viva. Viva ANC, viva. Viva Ufasimba, viva. Kamala Makosi, Kazi. Wangongwe. Thank you very much, program directors, the chairperson of the party in the province, the deputy chairperson of the party, the national deputy chairperson of the party, Comrade Tulas, central committee members present here today, CEC members of COSATU present here today, as well as PEC members of COSATU, the General Secretary of the party present here today. As the Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU, we join millions of South Africans and progressives around the world to commemorate the 27th anniversary of the passing away of the former General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, Comrade Joslovo. On this day, 27 years ago, parted one of our country's foremost revolutionary thinkers who had led from the front, in fact, in the fight to dismantle the evil apartheid regime. It was Comrade Slovo's steady and reliable leadership and exemplary conduct that made him the cherished and appreciated revolutionary that he still is. He still has a lot to offer us as we grapple with the current state of our nation and trying to formulate a response to the current challenges we are facing as the nation. And I think the YCL made mention of the catastrophe with the local government election, where the working class in general has given the Revolutionary Alliance a middle finger. He was a true soldier and a theoretician who never succumbed to the trappings of his position. I think Comrade Sean made mention of this point. He never shied away from acknowledging and confronting the failing and inadequacies of either the revolution or revolutionaries. He did more than most in helping to lay the foundation for a socialist future in South Africa with his insightful political analysis and revolutionary conduct. I want to quote Comrade Slovo in one of his writings, The South African Working Class and the National Democratic Revolution. His starting point was quoting the Constitution of the South African Communist Party in 1994 that declares that its aim is to lead the working class towards the strategic goal of establishing a socialist republic and more immediate aim of winning the objectives of the National Democratic Revolution, which is inseparably linked to it. The Constitution described the main conduct of the National Democratic Revolution as the national liberation of the African people in particular and the Black people in general, the destruction of the economic and political power of the racist ruling class, and the establishment of one united state of the people's power in which the working class will be dominant force and which will move uninterrupted towards social emancipation and the total abolition of exploitation of man by a man. And the question that we should ask ourselves, where are we today? What Joslovo fought for today, the working class, where they are today, they are confronted by the challenges which Joslovo taught us that we need to fight for these challenges. Today, the working class, where they are sitting in areas where there is no service delivered. They are pushed to ghettos where there is no service delivered. And I think that message that what Joslovo said in 1988 is befitting that the party, the reliable party that we know, should advance that struggle in order for a total emancipation of the working class. This commemoration arrives at a time when the country is amid a deeply seated and multiple crises of capitalism that has the nation languishing in the longest ever economic slump that began in 2009. While COVID-19 has exacerbated this crisis, we need to acknowledge that this is structural crisis that affect all dimensions of life, with its manifestation in the economy, energy, climate, food, water, finance. It is the most demonstration of the historic failure of the capitalist mode of production. The capitalist system has not just created record unemployment, but it drives an accumulation strategy that has led to attacks on the working class, including massive cuts in wages to increase profit. I mean, in the period under review, comrades will know, even our own government has turned against the working class, it has turned against the workers. We've seen government that has butchered collective bargaining in this country. So therefore, the Communist Party is sitting in the rightful position to work side by side with the workers, work side by side with the working class to change the status quo in this country, because we believe as workers that we are still struggling for what we've been struggling for, what Comrade Joslovo struggled for during the time he was with us in this world. And we think the party is the only organization amongst all the organizations that can liberate the working class. We are pleased as the Federation that the party has taken a resolution, and a firm resolution, to build a left popular front to confront the challenges that the working class is facing. I'm going towards conclusion, Chair. In respect of your time, the state has responded to this depressing situation and gloomy economic reality by carrying out social downsizing and austerity attacks that have included generalized cuts in social budget, including in health and education. I know General Secretary of the party as deployed in the Department of Higher Education and Training. You are struggling just to make sure that NSFAS is enough to accommodate the working class. It's because of austerity measures. So in the revolution, we are proud that when we are in the revolution, we are revolting against a system. And what is that system? That system is neoliberalism, it's capitalism. So if the system that was struggling against, that we are revolting against, it is still perpetuated by the government of the day. So therefore, it is befitting for the party to therefore go to building a left popular front. And comrades, as you resolve for the left popular front, don't think that this is a lip service. We will ask you time and again, how far are we with the building of the left popular front? Because we think that is the answer to the problems that we are facing in the country, and the party is at a position that it can give us in that struggle. As we work to develop a comprehensive program for 2022, a busy political year, we need to focus on two main priorities that will make it easier for the working class to survive this epoch and ultimately prevail. Workers need to build a strong vanguard party of the working class and pay close attention to theory of Marxist-Leninism to rebuild class consciousness. The Federation has committed itself to ensuring that the working class between itself and the SACP is strengthened. The SACP of Joslovo, both independently and through its hegemonic role in influencing mass formation, and the ANC itself has undeniably earned itself the mantle of vanguard party of the working class. In conclusion, let's honor Joslovo by lifting and imitating his honest personal qualities and build a strong party of the working class that we will be proud of. Amanda!
But you have said a mouthful, Comrade Chair. Thank you very much. Viva Kosatu, viva! Reina the working class Pina. Yeah, SACP Ngena. Shange. Mabanga Slali. Comrades, let's call on the ANC comrades. And I think this deployment is the correct one, General Secretary. Because Comrade Parks played a very important role in ensuring that Joe's logo is honored by the city of Johannesburg. So today's deployment is correct. We want to Comrade Parks to come and speak and give us the message from the PC of the ANC in Gauteng and tell us how we have lost these 3 metros in our province. Comrade Parks.
Long live the Revolutionary Alliance, long live. Comrades, I'm very conscious of the time. I have a prepared speech and Comrade Joe is giving me an additional mandate. I will, cognizant of the time, not read out the entire speech. I will share the rest with the leadership of the province. But the National Deputy Chair indicated that we have serious time limitations. Let me acknowledge the General Secretary of the Communist Party and the entire leadership of the Communist Party and lead the leadership of their members. From the Gauteng Provincial ANC, we send New Year's greetings and best wishes to all of you on this 27th commemoration of the life and legacy of Comrade Joe Slovo. We memorialize and celebrate legitimately Comrade Slovo Isitwalani Siaparangwe as a revolutionary thinker and a pragmatist by excellence who contributed in the drafting of the Freedom Charter and was one of the early combatants of Umkhonto weSizwe. We're also here to join in solidarity the SACP as it observes its 100th centenary, began in July 2021 and continuing to July 2022. These 100 years are indeed 100 years of unbroken struggle to realize both socialism in South Africa and the National Democratic Society, which are mutually reinforcing. Comrades and friends, as the ANC in the province, we support firmly the SACP's call for all progressive forces to spearhead and prioritize people over profit. This is an achievable goal which finds practical expression in both the 1955 Freedom Charter and the Constitution of the Republic. More than at any time in recent history, this call for privileged people, or rather for privileging people over profits, has been underlined by the global health and economic pandemic called COVID-19. Therefore, when governments across the world from diverse ideological orientations speak of building back better during the COVID-19 new normal, it talks about building back pandemic-proof health and economic infrastructure and disaster-ready institutions. Dear comrades, in commemorating the SACP's centenary and Comrade Slovo, it is about stating without fear that the tripartite alliance has always been centered and converging on appreciation of revolutionary nationalism as articulated presciently in the 1969 Morogoro Strategy and Tactics, and I quote, "Our nationalism must not be confused with chauvinism or the classical drive by an elitist group amongst the oppressed people to gain ascendancy so that they can replace the oppressor in the exploitation of the masses. To allow the existing economic forces to retain their interest intact is to fit the root of racial and class supremacy and does not represent even the shadow of liberation, close quote. The life and legacy of Comrade Slovo is rightly commemorated since it offers several other lessons. Without doubt, Comrade Slovo is remembered today for reminding us about the economic liberation work that is still outstanding. In his example, we recall someone who has a moral compass, who lived by and upholded principles of prioritizing the national welfare instead of personal interest. He personified selflessness and a high public service work ethic, which, as you would all agree, affirmed the correctness of his revolutionary selfhood. It is another reason he approximated praxis of theory and practice in life and in deed. As we reflect on the lessons learned from the 2021 local government elections and the recommendations flowing from the 2022 state capture report, this is another occasion to ask fundamental questions as we prepare strategically for the forthcoming National Policy Conference and the National Elective Conference of the ANC. Also, to ask ourselves on these existential questions for the movement guided by the strategic tactics. These are the questions we should travel and in context. Is there a significant change in the balance of forces? If so, what are the strategic decisions we need to adopt to reposition the progressive movement? Are the motive forces amenable to be turned around into our favor for all those sectors of society demoralized and disengaged with the direction of our movement? Are the progressive forces suitably armed with relevant policies and programs to prevent the movement from further splinter and factions? Is the broad democratic movement continuing to be part of the broad mobilization forces towards building and realizing the national democratic society? These questions are posed because when there are fractures within the alliance, inarguably, no revolutionary program can be implemented and monitored for its impact and transforming positively the economic status quo. As indicated earlier, I will shorten the speech, but thought I should end by asking those critical questions as we go into this year of National Policy Conference and of the National Conference of the ANC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Parks. Yeah, I was on Pendula later. Hopefully, in the caucus of the legislature, you'll unpack why we lost the 3 metros. Comrades, I'm now going to hand over now to the National Deputy Chair to take over the second session of our program. Comrade Tulas. Anchai Kuchi, Comrade, it's one la. Viva Tswane, viva! Viva Tswane, viva!
Long live the spirit of Comrade Gustavo. Long live. Long live the spirit of Comrade Rufus. Long live. Amandla. Comrades, We've come now to the main item of the day. We are going to request Globala Comrade Tusole, the first Deputy General Secretary. Ukuthi azosithulela le ndoda kuthiwa iyakwaDambusi. Izokusitshela ukuthi isiphatheleni namhlanje. Kodwa ke before angena unobhala Comrade Parks, lo nyaka uzawusinda kakhulu. Nama congresses mathathu. Siya kuma congresses amathathu isi. Nama provinces aya kuma congresses. Nama region. Kuzodependa ke ukuthi kwenzekani kulama congresses nama conferences wonke. Whether the lizwe silithatha silisa phambili or silibuyisele emuva. It's a very important issue we are praying. But just to remind you that all of us in the Alliance were having a very big challenge this year. Because sabuya ke nama factions. Sabuya ke nama factions nango 2024. Sibe sesinikezela ke pongqi. Sinikezele ke ngabo EFF nabo bonke. It's up to us. Ukhona ku-National Treasurer wethu beshilo ukuthi usendeleni kunento ezibambile. Njengoba siyazi ukuthi umgqugquzeleli walezi zinto zonke uComrade Joyce ukhona lapha phakathi kwethu. Manje ke awuthi nginikezeke kunobhala akathula omnye unobhala. Over to you Comrade Solid.
All power. Thank you very much, Comrade. National Deputy Chair, Comrade Judas Messi. There's too much rain, which is a great blessing, as Comrade John said. In the field of Comrade John Snow Konopala, in Umkondo where he said, there's no rain in the army, there's army in the rain. The people's army. So you must enjoy the rain. Rain is welcome anytime, whatever the occasion. So my task is to give you the presenter of our main message, a man who's well known amongst the working class of our country. The working class of our country have declared him the doctor of the workers, because he has represented the party very well in articulating the conditions of the working class in our country, and he has never failed in doing so. He rose through the liberation movement, joined the Communist Party, recruited especially by one of our young intellectuals and a dominant figure in the era of our party, Comrade Zala Newman, into the party. And he never looked back. And he served through that recruitment, our movement in many ways, particularly in education. Even during the period of underground, when it was mandated to set up the education institution to support transformation of our education system from apartheid education into people's education. Today, he continues to make major contributions in education in our country. This is perhaps one major issue that has not been properly recognized by South Africa. But we acknowledge that Zimande for your contribution. I read one book by one former Vice Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg, Habib. He raises this point, but only when he's no longer Vice Chancellor. So we appreciate that.
Of course, our General Secretary also served the National Executive Committee of the ANC. And here you'll represent the SACP as General Secretary to give our main message on this 27th anniversary of the passing on of Comrade Joe Slovo. We give you, comrades, the boy from Dambuza. General Secretary, please Zimani. There's a Amanda! Amanda! Viva SACP, viva! Viva! Amanda, don't leave the memory of Comrade Joe Slovo, long live. Don't leave the memory of Comrade Chris Hani, long live. Amanda, viva the African National Congress, viva. Viva the SACP, viva. Viva Kosato, viva. Viva Sanko, viva. Fuga Sanko, fuga. Viva the YCL Ufasimba, viva. Party the capitalism party. Forward to socialism forward. Put people before profit. Put people under. Oh, that is. Amanda, comrades, let me start by greeting our program directors, our National Deputy Chairperson, Comrade Tudas Macy, and Comrade John Peace, the Provincial Chairperson of the SACP in Gauteng. Let me start by greeting our first Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Sorima Paila, the National Office Bearers of the SACP who are here, and all our members of the Central Committee. Let me also greet our host Provincial Secretary, Comrade Jacob Mamabulu. Jagobe wetu wa SACP, I was a pipe. Nopala, I want to say thank you very much to you and Comrade Joe and your PEC and your districts and your branches for always hosting. Now, for the 27th time, commemoration of Comrade Joslo. I'm saying this because without you doing this, the country would possibly would have forgotten about this hero. Ngabe selikhonakele iqhawe siyabonga kakhulu. Sishayele kakhulu izandla. This is not enough. Let me also greet Comrade Sean Slovo, one of the dear daughters of Comrade JS, as we used to call him, and Comrade Ruth First. We are really very honored, Comrade Sean, for taking time aside to come and represent the family here. We are a very special family to us. We want to say that, and we are more than welcome. Tell the rest of the family we really appreciate your presence here today. Let me greet Comrade Pakstow, representing the African National Congress, our former Johannesburg mayor. I'll say, you say mayor. No, we really miss you, I must say that. Comrade Amos, representing the COSATU, thank you very much. We acknowledge you for your message. Our honored Palestinian ambassador, Comrade Hassan Sarah, and the Palestinian and your delegation, this is your home away from home here in the South African Communist Party. You are most welcome, and other members of the diplomatic corps that I might not have been aware of, they are also welcome. Let's also welcome the members of the media. Thanks for being here. Most importantly, let me welcome all of you comrades who have taken the trouble on this rainy day to be here to come and commemorate Comrade Slovo. We are gathered here like we do every year in memory of Comrade JS, the commander of Mkondo Wesizwe, the joint ANC and SACP Liberation Army, the leader of the SACP, the ANC, a workers' shop steward sometime earlier in his life, a revolutionary, an author, a thinker of note, and a father to the special three girls that we knew that they were very important to him, much as he was working all over the place. Comrade Joslo joined the National Union of Distributive Workers as a young worker after he left school in 1941. A year later, in 1942, he joined the Communist Party. This was 6 years before the racist National Party came to power and established an apartheid regime. The British and white capitalists of South Africa were all interested in one thing at that time, was the national oppression of the majority so that they become super exploitable. Ongo, abamto, basa Britain, nabasa South Africa, let's catch so 1940s. Now before, there's a lot of abamnyama, ukuze babe igqila ezizoyokubhida imane negolide ukuzongiwa badle kahle babe zigqila the proletariat esikhuluma ngayo. The colonial and apartheid regimes were also built on the foundation of patriarchy and the oppression of women. Our comrades, if they are terrible twins, it's capitalism and patriarchy. Those are twins and terrible twins. They always go together. You can't fight one without the other. Comrade Slovo was against fascism. As a result, during the Second World War, even these things comrade no so this is World War. These were actually mostly wars amongst imperialist countries, but they call it a world war. Because about Europe, they say it's a world war. right? What I used to say that. Particularly the First World War. Maybe you could say the Second World War, yes. But when the Soviet Union entered in the early 1940s, the war against fascism, Comrade Slovo was amongst those who took up the fight in defense of the Soviet Union and also in the fight against fascism. When they came back after 1945, Comrade Slovo went and knocked at Wits University and trained as a lawyer. So he's a good example in many respects. Which is what we want today. With all of us, don't forget the school. Hayi, sizothola amathenda thina, sishaya ama-shortcut, sisheshe sibe nemali. Ithenda uyayithola namhlanje, sasuma ungasakho in the right fraction, iyaphucwa, iyahamba. Imfundo yakho akekho oyoyithatha ngoba ayiyona ithenda. Nobody can take your education away from you. That's what also we must learn. Comrade Sean, over and above the salad, that's what we must learn also from Comrade Joslovo, that we must go and educate ourselves, use that opportunity. All of us. Comrade Joslovo was amongst those who participated towards the Congress of the People, the adoption of the Freedom Charter. Comrade Slovo contributed in the writing of the major documents of the SACP and the liberation movement. He was a great theoretician, but it would be a mistake to only call Comrade Joe Slovo a theoretician, because also Comrade Slovo embarked on practical revolutionary activity. Why am I telling you about Comrade Slovo? Why food? And it's a social at some stage. You must fight and fight at the same time. You must fight and fight at the same time. Where is Oleon? That was Comrade Joe Slovo. Because it's important also that we remind ourselves of this, because Ukonamatu was saying the SACP must continue to develop the theory of the revolution. They are right. But we don't develop the theory of the revolution from a desk. We develop the theory of the revolution from the trenches. We learn from the struggle. You can't develop a theory if we are not in the struggle. You can't theorize if we are not in the struggle, because what are you theorizing about? So we've always been a party of both theory and practice. Comrades, I have to say this as we remember Comrade Slovo. If the political education is gone in the structures of the movement, I say, comrades. In order, Comrade Hope, to honor Comrade Slovo, we really need to rebuild political education structures and processes in our movement. If there is one main message, comrades, you find today many comrades, especially in our bigger organization, the ANC. We say this because it's true. Comrade, Alas Luto can't relate in Freedom Charter and the current struggles now. But only affection comrade parts, the comrade is an expert. All he or she knows, it's normally men, is how to fight factional battles, but doesn't know how to organize for the ANC or the Communist Party. What kind of education is that? We have experts in fighting factional battles, but they can't build our organization. So, Comrade Joe, when you say we don't need those people. If we are to renew the ANC and reconfigure our alliance, we must get rid of those people whose specialization is factionalism at the expense of building our movement. We are where we are today because of that, if truth be told. Comrade Slovo
continued to work after 1990, sorry, with the struggle to rebuild the SACP inside the country, to rebuild the ANC, participated in negotiations. In fact, at CODESA, he was the lead negotiator under Comrade Chris Hani for the SACP. I remember very well, we served in the same subcommittee, CODESA, number 2, is the one which collapsed the CODESA. Comrade Slovo was sitting there. Was an amazing person. You say, here's this commander of MK, but he was a suave negotiator. Managed to articulate the positions of the Communist Party. I was with him while the two deployed in this negotiation. We have to write this history of so that also younger generations should know. Comrade Slovo, until his last day on the 6th of January 1995, he was still in the struggle. So he does deserve to be honored. And Comrade Slovo must continue to serve as an example. How do we honor someone like Comrade Joe Slovo? It's important that we come to Avalon every 6th of January, and we must continue to do so. But what do we do when we leave Avalon Cemetery? That's what is critical, is that we must go out and fight for what the ANC slogan, by the way, always captures so nice. There's no ANC slogan after 1994 that I like more like a better life for all. We can give it a Marxist Leninist analysis. It's a beautiful slogan, a better life for all, not for some, for all. That is one of the most wonderful slogans of the African National Congress. That's why we must go out of here, comrades, and fight for the things, basic things that change the lives of our people for the better. Water, sanitation, paved roads, potholes, where's the look yes, I'm MC for transport, but you see, I'm tired of because he has had a campaign, led the campaign as the provincial secretary of the party to fill up potholes. That's what food about potholes. You know, these things, potholes are all over our country, and it's costing us just basic goodwill from our people. At home, in my respect, like everybody else, you go home to decide. There are certain tires are not there, you wait. Because the tires are just being blown every day by this pothole. We must go and struggle, comrades, for these basic things that make life better. If we provide water, we actually liberate hundreds of thousands of rural women who still today must still go and fetch water from the rivers. There should be no school with pit toilets. These are basic things to honor Comrade Slovo that he fought for. Housing, he was the first minister of housing. Human settlements. We need to be pushing all this. We also need to be pushing, comrades, for what we call as the SACP public employment programs. Our cities and our townships are dirty. Angoli. I always tell people when I grew up as a young boy in my respect, under apartheid, I had a difficult time. But when you were going to town, you used to wear smart and clean because we ate rope. Because it's a clean place. Now I'm more cleaner when I go to Dambuza than when I go to a Petermaris in my city. Because Dambuza is better than the way some of our cities are looking. Now, Nature's toilet. It's very dirty. Why can't we employ people, as we have said, in source that work and have workers who permanently clean our cities as part of public employment programs? That is what we should be fighting. There are so many things that needs to be done in our communities. The building of water infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, everything, even to clean our graves, that should be part of public works to create jobs for millions of our young people who actually do not have jobs. That is how we should be honoring our leaders, or just slow. Comrades, we also have to defend. I want to come to this now. We also have to defend the gains we've made since 1994. Uyabona ukuthi namakomanisi kuyekuthiwe siyathakatha. Abangasifuna sithakathe sine-analysis. We are able to analyze things. Uyabona le nto eyenzekayo, Comrade Lechisi. Today ngihlele eduze kwakho ngithi awu madoda, my deputy speaker is hopeless. There's no place, there's no parliament. It's a very serious matter. We want to give the law enforcement agencies an opportunity to go very deep into this thing. But we have our own suspicions as the SACP. This thing of burning a parliament is not unconnected to the counter-revolution that was waged in July last year. It's not unconnected to it. On the day the acting Chief Justice gives a report on state capture to the president, someone is vandalizing the Constitutional Court. It's not an accident. We are suspicious that this thing is planned. Now we can't sit like this and relax. When we are seeing a counter-revolution coming, it's like seeing an oncoming train. In honor of Ujoslovo, let's unite as the alliance and all the progress go out to seek to unite the widest possible sections of South African society to defend our revolution. Asiphume siyomobilize abantu ukuvikela lokho esesikutholile okubalulekile kusukela ngo-1994. Noma ngabe sena inkinga zini, kodwa lokho esesikutholile kubalulekile ukuba sidepende. Because there's no doubt that no ANC has done so many positive things, my comrades. When we were campaigning, we were just raising this thing. The child gets born today from a poor family as a child grant. This child has got free health care until 5 years. You don't remember ANC. This child comes from a poor family, goes to a no-fee school until this child finishes matric. And after matric, this child wants to go to a Tibet college or a university, is paid for by the government through a fee bursary of NSFAS. Same child. If they are working hard, they actually realize it potentially are. This just by one example of what this government has done. This ANC government can still do more, but mistakes have been made. Terrible mistakes. The fact that we don't control a single metro in Gauteng, comrades, it's something that today, as we honor our comrade to Joseph, we seriously need to reflect upon what does this mean, what does it mean, what needs to be done. Comrade Parks, I like the questions you are posing. They are the correct questions. I want to add to them. When we defeated the apartheid, Comrade Lech, who were really the forces that were in the forefront? It was the organized working class in the metro. They were the ones who were actually at the head. We are not saying there were no struggles in the rural areas or smaller towns, but The organized working class together with communities, organized communities, here in Gauteng, in Johannesburg, eSoweto, ePretoria. But that was fine. It was high moral. Not to say, more than anybody else. It was in these metros. Today, as the ANC, we are losing the metros. What does that mean? Does it mean that, is there something wrong happening with the working class in our major urban areas? Is there perhaps a tension now between the ANC and the urban working class? Ubudlelwane bakhongolose nabasebenzi bunganjani? Ucomrade wami uyayiraise le nto ukuthi abayithandi beyabasebenzi ukuthi lo government wethu didn't honor the 2018 agreement. It's last year. Could this have upset the urban working class or part of the urban working class, contributing to us losing our metros aid? I must say, comrades, that my own worry, having been home in my respect, like all of us, many of us were migrants. You go during December. I find that some of our comrades are not learning the lessons. They are still continuing to impose candidates as mayors. They are still continuing to act factional. They are not learning the lessons like Comrade Josh Lobo, who knew that in conducting the armed struggle, if we've made the mistake here, how should we correct it? That's why Comrade Josh Lobo was commanding one of the most well-liked units. Even the headquarters of the Defense Force. If we can't reflect and accept, then there is something wrong. Then we are on a downward spiral. Some of our own comrades, if they are comrades, they are refusing to take and hear the voice of the people crying that this is no longer the ANC we know. Comrades, in 2000, year 2000, I'm told, what election was that? Local government. The ANC got 40% vote of all the registered voters. 40% of all the registered voters. This time around, the ANC got 14.5% of all the registered voters. From 40% to 14.5%. Of all the people who are registered to vote, only 14.5% voted for the ANC. It means, comrades, we have got huge and serious challenges that we actually have to confront. Now, there's this thing which we are all complaining about, factionalism. No, man, let's analyze a little bit deeper. The struggle against factionalism can't be a moralistic struggle. You know, comrades, what has happened now? As a Makomanis comrade hope, we need to say things as they are. Factionalism is closely linked to control over resources. You get a faction in a region that controls the ANC often, and then controls the municipal budget in a particular municipality, which they chow. And what unites them as a faction is to chow that municipal budget. In other words, now, factionalism is deeply interlinked with corruption. We cannot fight factionalism without at the same time waging a struggle against corruption, both inside and outside our movement. It's not only the ANC. not only the ANC, by the way. Now, to then just plead against factionalism, it's not going to help us. We have to fight this. That is why, but what is even dangerous is that this factionalism now is beginning to involve in some places like Mamelodi gangsters. KZN it's involving Inkad. Also now what we are beginning to see is an overlap between factionalist politics inside our movement and gangsters and criminality outside. That is what is beginning to develop. And if we allow this to continue, comrades, then our revolution is gone. Then our revolution is gone. We just have to understand that we actually have got a huge task. Our comrade Joe Slobo, as comrades were saying, Comrade Sean was telling us, even in the darkest days of apartheid, never lost hope. We also must not lose hope and must understand what the task is. To entangle and defeat factionalism is a much bigger battle today than we actually realize. They go and demand a certain percentage from projects, the construction. We want 30% here and there. If you don't give us as the person who has been given that, you are not going to be able to work here. Now, let me tell a small story, another example. INAFCO, those who know INAFCO, the organization of mainly Black small business, requested a meeting with the officials of the SACP. When was that, Comrade Jane? 2 months, 3 months ago? 3 months, 2 months ago. You know, when they start the meeting, they say to us, we have a presentation. We know as the Communist Party, we have a lot we want to hear from you, but let's start with our presentation so that you respond. They say to us, you know, we are beginning to lose. We love this ANC. We love it. It's our organization. But we are beginning to lose hope in it and confidence in it. And one of the main things is that instead, in many places, instead of this ANC as local government, of helping us as small business to do better, some of the leaders of the ANC are competing with us. They are also in business. Yes. But they have an advantage because they control the ANC and they control the municipality. So they are now outbidding us and we are struggling, we are going under. What is to be done? We love this African National Congress. We have come to you as the SACP. How can we work together to correct this? Now, if we are not careful, comrades, the movement as a whole, we are part of this. We are going to begin to lose the support of the urban working class, the professionals, and small business, and we are going to become a rural movement that does not have a base in the urban areas. ZANU-PF as Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF is predominantly a rural organization. Now, we're not saying rural having supported rural is a problem. It's a very important base that we must work at and address, but we can't lose the metros and the major urban municipalities. So we have to learn lessons, comrades. Now, moving towards the end, I guess report. Let's talk about the report layer state kept. But before we talk about it, let's remind people, the SACP was the first organization to expose and name state capture for what it is. Yes. It's our concept. Layer state capture. We are the first organization that saw and named this thing as such. We named it for what it is. And we're the first organization. I remember very well our first Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Usori, was the first voice on behalf of the SACP calling for the establishment of a judicial commission of inquiry into state capture. That was us. We don't normally do this. We don't operate like that. But we must speak the truth now. That's why we welcome the report, Gazon. Of course, we would have liked to Zondo to give us all at once the complete report. No time was told. Actually, it told us as a rate. I'm sure it's the same thing. I'm sure the Palapala we would have liked this report Zone that it comes to us as one time, once and for all. Well, it hasn't. But we welcome it nevertheless, that is actually coming out. And we are going to respond to it as the SACP in our own right. No, sizozikhulumela sombutho imali siyawazi nokufunda sama communities naleyo advantage. We are able to read and analyze and interpret, and we will do it ourselves. Now, comrades, we don't want at this moment to go into detail of what the Zondo Commission is saying. We want to get the whole picture, the whole report, and then we respond. But there are certain things we want to say so long, nevertheless. That in tackling the corruption in the state capture, we hope the recommendations of the commission do not only focus on officials in government and state-owned enterprises only. We are also calling that the commission focuses on the private sector as well, including being prosecuted. There can be no justice and an end to state capture from selective prosecution. There must be consistency because state capture is a collaborative crime between unscrupulous elements in the public sector and the private sector. For instance, we heard from testimonies and the conclusions of the commission how a US-based multinational company called Bain & Company was complicit in irregular arrangements from which it benefited. Now, because the company owns Twaiko, no, just like another public service, KPMG and many other Western imperialist multinational banks and other financial institutions and Section M monopoly capital. You as the media, we are very pleased you are here today. We want to put a challenge. Don't only focus on government. Yes, you must focus on government officials, but we want to hear you all focusing on the thieves and the criminals in the private sector as well. Because if you watch the Zondo report, and before profits. Put people which is in line with our centenary theme. Socialism is the future building now in putting people before profit. You know, we are very glad as the SACP, who have been consistent is our call not to tenderize the state.
Yes.
Don't turn the state into a 10. We've been chased because of that stance. Comrade Jacob, it was here. Our comrade start. At this Joe Snow commemoration that we said 1 year, there are rogue intelligence elements who are following leaders of the SAC. Because they were wanting to dig and manufacture debt about us so that we stop raising these issues. We are not going to stop. We are not going to be intimidated. We are going to investigate those. SACP. Watambuza mina washonda omanyala bese ngiyashuthi niwathathe niwathola. We are not going to be intimidated, comrades, as the South African Communist Party. In memory of Comrade Joe Snow, no one is going to intimidate us. Instead, those people are going to account for using rogue intelligence agencies. We are not going to rest until we go to the bottom. Lemali eyantshontshwa headquarters. The state intelligence, state security. Yantshontshwa ubani, iphi yasetshenziselwani, siyamakomanisi, sizowubuza lo mbuzo sizosiyithola i-answer. Ngisho kuthiwa akasekho, akumina kuphela ngazi le information yaziwa yi-leadership ye-South African Communist Party as a whole. We owe this to Joe Snow. State security. Yeah. Millions of amounts of money were stolen. Any such and who intimidated go by any state head. This year, 2022, it's a crucial year for our movement in our all our organizations are going into congresses. In July is the SACP, in September is COSATU, in December is the ANC. In 1 year. 1 year. Nama provinces, Nama regions. That's why I'm saying, by the way, in some of the regions, there's no change. We are just not learning. Now, for us as the SACP, the year of congresses must be a year for consolidating and uniting the movement and analyzing the challenges we have, but most importantly, and come with solutions to those challenges. That is what this year is calling for. But our detractors are going to use this year to fictionalize them so that they can to try and steal our structures so that they can actually further their accumulation agendas. We must commit in honor of Joe Snow that we are not going to allow year 2022 to be used because it's a year of congresses to pursue things that are dividing our movement. The main message, let's use our congresses to address what is a priority in this country. What is a priority in this country now is jobs and sustainable livelihoods and to create a better life for all. That's what our congresses. That's what our congresses. That's what our congresses are supposed to do, comrades. And also we need to unite ourselves. As the SACP, we are calling for the alliance to unite itself. Our message is clear as the SACP. State capture is theft, is no solution to the economic problems we face. But also neoliberalism is another form of theft to enrich those who are rich is actually not going to help us. We don't want state capture. We don't want neoliberalism. We want economic policies whose foundation is our freedom charter in order to create a better life for all. And we must use these congresses to try and unite ourselves around this. Njengoba kuphuma ikhomishini kaZondo nje hayi akuthuliwa inkantolo le khomishini khona abazoyisa ngoba bafuna ukuya emajele nayo yonke into bazobe benza into ongazazi. The opposition is going to use the Zondo Commission to try and discredit the ANC for the next 2.5 years in the 2024 election. That's what the opposition is going to try. That is why it's important that we unite as the alliance to say we are not for state capture, we are not for neoliberals. Those who have actually been involved in state capture must be dealt with. That is the main task as we go to our Congress. Siyajabula because supports us in building a left popular front. We don't see a left popular front as an alternative to the ANC. Instead, we see it as something that can revitalize the ANC itself. The ANC, by the way, was built by people's struggles to become what it became by 1990. It was the community struggles in our townships, in our villages. It was the organized trade union movement. All those things actually contributed. The building of progressive civic movements. That's what built the African National Congress to be what it was and what it became. And the left popular front must actually aim, in our language as communists, to revitalize the motive forces of the national democratic revolution. That's what we are doing. But let me end, Uchi, by saying this comment. As we remember Joslo, let's unite SACP. Let's not allow foreign tendencies to begin to creep into the SACP like tribalism. We must just not allow that. If the SACP is divided because of narrow provincialism and narrow regionalism, who is going to be the vanguard of this revolution? And we must not tolerate factionalist tendencies in the SACP. Comrade Nobalu Soli, if they are factionalists in the SACP, we must kick them out of our organization. They just do not belong here. We must deal with them. The Communist Party has spent Kalapans. We are not afraid to go and start from zero and rebuild rather than to have people who do not belong to the South African Communist Party. The unity of the party is sacrosanct. Foreign tendencies, workerism, anti-Congress sentiment does not belong to our party. If we are into that, go where Wakusum go not here where we are. Like I said, we can't end without reiterating our support for the transition to democracy in Swaziland, our solidarity with the people of Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and the Sudan, who are trying to overcome their own challenges. Our solidarity also goes to the Palestinian people. Our late lead to Comrade Madiba said it nice. South Africa will never be fully free until the Palestinians are free to pursue their own path. That is why we will always be with the Palestinians against the apartheid Israeli regime. I know when in Amakomani Samani and full waiting in the Bayeso, I see it. People are confused. Who think that Israel is the same Israel as in the Bible? So we must pray and protect Israel because it's in the Bible. No, it's not the same Israel. Bible is another Israel. It's apartheid Israel, which is oppressing and killing Palestinian people. So communists are good in this now from a historical materialist perspective, so that you understand what kind of Israel we are dealing with. To release Hisham Abu Hawash unconditionally with immediate effect from his unjust incarceration, as well as over 500 other Palestinians that are unjustly detained right now. A father of 5, Hisham Abu Hawash, who is 40, was detained by the apartheid Israeli regime under the injustice called administrative detention, has been on hunger strike for days. He is now at the risk of death or massive or permanent organ failure since he started his hunger strike on the 17th of August, 2021. We mustn't forget this. The Palestinians called for the release of Nelson Mandela. We are also calling for the release of Hawash, who is unjustly detained by the Israeli regime. 1st of January, comrades, also marked the 63rd anniversary of the Cuban Revolution. We stand with the people of Cuba against the imperialist occupation of the Cuban territory of Guantanamo Bay, and we are calling for an end to the criminal, illegal blockade of Cuba by the United States. We also want to congratulate Gabriel Boric for his presidential election victory in Chile. It's very interesting. This president is 40 years, 35 years. Now youth for socialism, not youth for gender. That's the kind of a youth. Youth mighty fully could sifuna le youth. I learn his own genealogy. This is very important. So we congratulate this victory. And he is now going to be working in alliance with the Communist Party of Chile. So that's a progressive president. And the key task for Chile would be to maintain this unity so that they are able to roll back decades of neoliberal failures in Chile. We also express our solidarity with the Latin American people, including the people of Venezuela, Nicaragua, Bolivia, and all other progressive forces. Comrades, South Africa shall never be free until we liberate its women from gender-based violence. South Africa shall never be fully free unless we liberate its women from patriarchy and gender-based violence. Yeah, my comrades, it's too much that we put our women this was. City my ones went. As far as we condemn, as express our condolences every day, but this thing just could as if nothing has happened. That is one answer we need in honor of Comrade Joslow. Just like we must go, comrade, and unite to defeat COVID-19. I know when my comrades are from your job. I feel like saying one communist, one jet. One communist, 2 jets, where we need 2 jets. One communist, 3 jets, where we need 2. And that's your job, my comrade. All of us would not be where we are today if we did not get it when we were still here. The polio as it exists is not gone, but it's no longer affecting us because since COVID, we've had a jab. So let's go and have a jab as we unite to fight against vaccine imperialism and vaccine apartheid worldwide. That is the best way we can remember and honor Comrade Joslow. You will excuse me if I spoke for long. Masikhuluma ngamaqhawe ethu, umuntu usuka avuka umoya. Comrade Mo. But these are our heroes who laid the way for us. Let's not sell out our Comrade Joslow by trying to use our organizations for private personal accumulation instead of pursuing a better life. Put people. Amandla. Siyabonga.
Down with apartheid Israel, down. Down with neoliberalism, down. Down with prosperity measures, down. Forward to the better life for all the people, forward. Down with corruption, down. Down with entrepreneurs, down. Thank you, comrades. Thank you to the General Secretary. You've heard the message. And central to that is unity of the party, unity of the ANC, unity of the alliance, so that we can be able to move forward in order to defend and take forward our NTR. Thank you very much, Comrade General Secretary, for this message on behalf of the Central Committee. Now, we are going to move into the next item. That item is going to be the red lane. And I'm going to quickly, because I can see the clouds are gathering again. I'm going to request the comrades in this order who are going to be getting the wreaths for laying. The first one is going to be the Comrade General Secretary, who must move forward. Come forward, Mr. General Secretary, to take Imbali Ukar, to be followed by Comrade Sean Slofo. Come forward to also get this way. The red. Yes, also Somala. That's okay. Before we. Yes. Can we request that the two of you give them space to move forward towards to go and lay the red? The two of you. Yes.
Together.
Yes, you must move together.
Out of the way, boys.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Yes and Comrade Sean. Can we also Comrade the treasurer of the party, Comrade Joyce Muloy and Comrade Sodima Paiva, to get one rate to lay. Comrade Joyce, the two of you, you go share that one and move together.
Yeah, you move together.
Who am I calling? No. Comrade Sony,
This
I'm in
way.
control. Can you move?
This way.
Only 1 second. Thank you, Comrade. Comrade, the second Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Chris Machaku, together with the Comrade Pakstow. When you come together and share, invite. Yes, thank you. Think about what I put on the yes, thank you, Comrade. Comrade. Cool. We request Comrade Legislator Nodi and Comrade Franz Valeri together with the yes.
Amos.
Not doing.
Left Amos. Kelale wala Amos. Swar.
Yeah, can't.
Marano ngitse go kele report.
It's okay. It's okay.
Because we need all of them. Hata mbute. Okay, wabona.
Yeah.
Thank you, Comrade.
Sure. Give a child.
Comrades, we will request
Zoom.
we will request Comrade Tinigo, Comrade Munyela, and Comrade Mama Gol. You must go on behalf of the GCB too. Look at it, me. Me. You can't. The host must listen to me.
No, whenever you What's hello?
Thank you, Comrade.
Just for a moment.
You escort the last one, which will be our Excellency the Ambassador Tara and Ambassador Tara. And the two of you go and fetch there. Don't leave the Palestinians, don't leave. Palestinian, long live. Down with apartheid.
No, my joke about.
Thank you very much, comrades, for this solemn occasion when we are remembering our hero. Comrades, for now, I'm going to request the treasurer of the hosting province. Treasurer of the hosting province, together with the treasurer. The national treasurer.
Yeah.
Oh, we end it now.
Comrade Joyce.
Okay.
I will begin now, Comrade Joyce.
Eh? Alex.
Now we're getting the photographs from the national treasurer and then by
Even here.
provincial
Yeah, leave. Right.